She who thrives. Phoenix rising. The true me. The ups and downs crazy in life. So take this journey with me. She who thrives. Yeah. Good morning, sunshines, and welcome to a podcast, She Who Thrives, a podcast about women who have gone through different adversities in life and have overcome them and became successful in their own right. And today, I was gonna do a solo, but I tend to get scared of doing solos because I don't want to talk to myself. So Desiree's with me, but she's,
just here,
just that filler, so that way I can be okay with talking. But she knows all of this stuff anyways, because we talk all the time in the office about certain things. So this one, I wanted to we're recording it. What's today? We're recording it's February 9th, and it's not going to actually air until February 29th. I think if I got that right,
so.
right?
Yeah.
Hold on, let's see. It's, I think, February 29th. So the reason why I wanted to do that was because on February 26th, there's going to be something with me. And I was debating whether to, look, I'm getting nervous. I was debating whether I wanted to come out and say this now. But because it's about, it's a podcast about women facing different adversities. And I encourage people to come on and be very open about their own journey. And I was like, okay, me and Desi were going back and forth. Should I not? Should I not? Mm-hmm. And I decided to go ahead and do it because this is part of my journey. And it's like, crap, there's another
raw and everything.
Yeah, I want to be raw and be open and honest with, my audience, with whoever is listening. So it's a little nerve-wracking. And but I encourage people to be vulnerable and show that vulnerability, and me being nervous about it right now. And I don't like attention about certain things, and I'm sure a lot of people are that way. You don't want people to feel sorry for you or anything like that. But whatever happens in my personal life does affect my business life, affects what I'm doing with creativity, and it's going to affect everything. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just put it out there. Let me be open. Some people already know. And I just didn't want to make a big thing. Like, I just told my mom. When did I tell my mom? What's today?
I told her like the other day. Like,
I told her like on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I don't
after
like
knowing
the dramatics.
For how long?
Yeah. So I've been dealing with. So this is what happens when I'm in the car. I tend to start messing with my ears, start messing with my neck, start going like this with my head. And a few months ago, almost a year probably.
Yeah, you said it started.
So I was rubbing back here and I started feeling a lump. So, I tend to get really stressed out. I get a lot of knots in my neck because I sit and naturally roll forward. So I was just, massaging, thinking, whatever, it's probably a knot. I probably need to go get massaged. So didn't think anything of it. So as months have passed, I started feeling like it was growing. Mm-hmm. So, all right, I was like, maybe I need to get it checked. So Desi tends to know all the stuff that I do, whatever. So we noticed that I was slurring
a lot, yeah. You were just questioning it, like, why can't I speak correctly?
I was kept on slurring. And one thing with me is I have PCOS. With PCOS, we have a lot of brain fog. So my doctor was trying to see if that was probably from my PCOS, and it wasn't. So they they sent me out to do some exams, and was it CAT scan? It was a CAT scan, right?
CT scan, yeah.
The CT scan, some blood work, all of that stuff, or whatever else. So the results came back. I do have a tumor in my head. It's not in my brain. It's in my head. So it's a possibility it's a benign tumor, but they can't cross anything out until, the biopsy. They remove it and they send it out for biopsy to see if it's, has any cancer cells or anything like that. So as the days gets closer to the procedure, I'm starting to, start to think all different types of things. And the other
be on
day,
TikTok.
And the other day I made the biggest mistake and look on TikTok about this. So it's just been the horror stories that I watched and I read, and I was like, oh my God, I'm torturing myself. So,
but we tend to do that regardless. Like even Dr. Google, you have a migraine, and it's like, yeah, you have a day to live.
Yeah, and you know what happened too was now with the hospital thing, they put your results all online. Mm-hmm. So I got the email that the results had came up before before the new year. Mm-hmm. And then my follow-up appointment with my doctor was after the new year. So I started reading the report myself. And I was like, and I started Googling everything.
What is that? What does this mean?
So I kind of had an idea of what she was going to tell me. Mm-hmm. And then when my primary, she went over it, she went through it. And then she sent me to the surgeon. So I'm dealing with a plastic surgeon because mm-hmm. they have to do remove it and reconstruct it how they set it.
And we went and looked up the video of how they do that, and
it was disgusting, guys.
She got grossed out. I was just like fascinated.
It was disgusting. I was like, oh my god, I don't want to see this. I don't know why I'm torturing myself, but I torture myself, guys. So I naturally don't like. It took me a while to tell pretty much to anybody else, like with my sister mm-hmm. or my family members. I just don't like the dramatics. My sister's like, oh, mom's just worried, or she gets very concerned, or whatever. It's like, no, she's gonna start telling me what to do and what to tell the doctor. And sure enough, she was just like, well, remember you're allergic to penicillin. Remember you have a heart murmur. I was like, Mom, I grew out of that heart murmur when I was 10, 43. She's like, well, you just never know. I'm like, okay, Mom. Okay. But I just didn't want to deal with the dramatics.
Yeah.
And as I get closer, it's like, all right,
you're giving yourself the dramatics.
No, I'm not giving myself.
Like you're just stressing
within
yourself.
myself.
Yeah, it's like within yourself that you're doing all of it instead of getting it from outsiders, I feel.
But this is now because
before you were just like, okay, just taking it day by day.
I think now in February is when I'm starting to like.
Well, that's because it's like 2 weeks away.
It's 2 weeks away, and I just don't. No, like, the doctors are reassuring that everything is going to be okay. It has really strong signs that it's just a benign tumor. But we just never know. We never know what can happen. I mean, things happen to me, and that's the weirdest stuff. Because I have PCOS, I have insulin issues. So those insulin issues prevent me from healing the way everyone else really heals. Mm-hmm. So that's what the main concern is for me. So I'm going to be it's an outpatient procedure. So I'm pretty much going to be there all day though. And then it's going to be on Monday, and I'm supposed to be good to go to work the next day or by Wednesday.
I told her, like, you better stay your ass home. You're going to have a headache.
So I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to feel. They were like, oh, it's going to be dependent how your body reacts to the anesthesia, because I'm going to be under. Like, it's not a local thing. They're completely putting me under. So I kind of like prepping myself for that, but I'm also prepping my clients, because I do have my clients that I speak to on a weekly basis about budgeting and things like that, and giving them a heads up so they know if I need more time. That way they feel like
for the most part they're just understanding.
Yeah, they're understanding. I mean, they get concerned. I mean, one of them was like, oh my God, how can you just say that just to say? She's like, are you not concerned? But it's not that I'm not concerned. It's just more like I'm kind of like focused on work and making sure all of the work is done, because it's tax season too. Although I don't work too much with individuals. I do mainly businesses. It's still pretty busy for me right now, and I just want to make sure that all my clients are taken care of, and they know that the last week of February I might be just a little MIA. So because I'm pretty much I respond to my clients pretty quickly, and if I don't, then they know why. So giving them a heads up. Plus, I'm gonna have my out of office emails and stuff like that, but. just letting everyone know, because again, this is just part of a struggle. This is part of a struggle in my journey. And I was questioning it. And it was just like, why do I always have these roadblocks? Why?
It's so for a reason, some way, somehow.
Yeah, because when you're trying to do so much stuff, then something happens.
It's
and
like
then,
a stance. It's kind of like you need to relax a little bit.
Yeah, you know what? I seen something yesterday. About this, and let me see. It says you get tested the most when you get tested the most when it's time for you to elevate, don't break. It's like, oh Lord Jesus, you're really, really testing me. You are so testing me. So it's kind of like, it's kind of scary, but I didn't want to not tell everyone and not come out here and let everyone know, because like I said, these are the different challenges that, you know, someone else may be facing as well, and you're not alone. I'm sure I'm not alone, even though I went on TikTok and it kind of scared me. I know I'm not alone.
Yeah.
But one thing that I do when I go through these situations, I tend to get very, very creative. Like my mind starts to, and this is something that I have always done since I was small. I would escape into this world I created for myself in my head. Whether it's like, I don't want to say a make-believe world because I probably sound crazy, but I go off into this.
It's like an alternate little universe that you
like
have
in this
built.
Comfort zone, yeah. And then it's like I get very creative and I start making all types of stories. And I always thought that I was crazy for doing that. I don't know. But I find myself doing it more, and I think it's a way for me to cope and not think about what actually is happening in the moment or what is going to happen. But it was funny that I'm going through that, and I'm seeing all of this, and I'm getting really creative, and I could come up with a book and an outline of a book pretty quick and just, you know, whatever. But then to sit down and write it with everything would work. It's a little harder. Yeah. But I do have that in plan, guys, that I'm going to be writing a book this year. But it was funny because this past week I decided this is something that I do here, of course, getting to know people and talk about their background and really get to know their background. And so documentaries, I don't watch a lot of TV. So I'm not into series or movies as much or anything like that. But my boyfriend was in town, so he loves TV and it drives me insane. He wants the TV on all the time. So we compromised and we watched a documentary. So we watched the Tyler Perry documentary. Okay. And it's called Maxine's Baby. And it was so interesting of how I was able to relate with him because he grew up in an abusive home. And I mean, there's so much in the documentary, but this is something that like really stuck out to me. Yeah. That he would get physically abused by his father. Mm-hmm. And he would escape into this, like, I don't know, I want to say a cubby or something in the backyard, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And he would go under there and he would create stories and stuff. And that's how he became such a creative person.
Like a director and stuff like that.
Yeah, because he was able to just escape off and then just create all of these stories in his head because he was escaping from the situation that he was in. So many years of me thinking I was crazy for that, because of course, if you haven't read my book, Loving a Bipolar Bear, it does share that I was very, physically abused growing up. And his little escape, I had my escape, which was in the front of in the building that we lived in. There was some stairs there. And I would just sit down in the front and watch all the cars pass. And while they would pass, I would just create all types of stories.
Little stories
of, that car. And from that car, what was the people in that car? And from
where
in
they're
that
gonna go,
where they live,
from.
where they go, where they're all of the. I would create those stories, and it was crazy that he was doing that as well. And that's how he came about with all of these plays and these movies and all of that. I mean, it started from that, and he just grew into who he is today. But it's like, wow, it's not unusual. So one of the other things that they had said, they were interviewing, how they'll interview different people. I can't remember who they were interviewing, but she literally said, it's very rare when you find someone who is business minded and creative. So I looked at my boyfriend, I was like, I'm a rare breed. Because I'm business minded. I've been an entrepreneur for I don't know how many years. And I love the creative side, and I've always been creative, but I just kind of kept that to myself until now that I'm putting it out there. So it's like, all of the stories that I was able to create, and I still create, because Loving a Bipolar Bear is the first published book, but you know how Facebook comes up with different memories or whatever else? A few years ago, I was writing other books. I was like, oh my God, I forgot about those books. And so I think I had like 2 other books that I wrote. I just never published them. So then I did Loving a Bipolar Bear. And then now I want to do another one. And I already have the outline. You and I went through the outline.
We go back and forth with it. Like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. No, change this idea.
And I could sit there and just come up like, it's this, and all this stuff or whatever. So, but going back to Tyler Perry, it was like, I'm not going to sit there and do all the things that he does or whatever. But it's amazing how he came from that such a abusive situation into where he is now with his own, the studios and all of that stuff. And it's just, it didn't hold him back. He still had that drive. And so then it coming that I was able to relate to a man with what he went through in his life. By the way, later on, it came out that wasn't even his biological father.
Really?
So, yeah. So anyways, but I was abused by my mom. So there's no denying, because I look identical to her. So she can't say you're not my kid. But relating to him in that situation was just like, wow. And several guys have reached out to me, and they had asked, all right, I get it. All the women have gone through things.
But men go through things as well.
Men go through things as well. And a lot of the times, men don't get to say their side of the story, especially when it comes to, abuse in marriages or divorce or whatever it is that they men have gone through. And it's like, I don't shy away from that.
Yeah.
Like, people say, oh, you're a feminist. I'm not a feminist, because honestly, I learned a lot of things from men, period. So I'm not always saying, oh, women this, women that, all that. It's just like, you have to be honest. Women have to fight sometimes harder than my male counterpart. But I do acknowledge that men go through things.
I just feel like when they grow up, they just get told to like, not to really show emotions and not to like really feed into it as like women, where we're more emotional creatures. And a lot of us still, even then, barely show emotion. But a lot of men, I feel like, do go through things that they just
because you're
not free to talk about.
Conditioned to
because like
not
we
show
could
that.
sit and like we could have a conversation about everything we go through. Men, it's not like they sit in the barbershop and talk about everything they go through.
Oh, they'll talk about it, but they won't show that emotion that they're hurt about it.
Exactly.
Or something like that.
They'll kind of like joke about it, or
like if their girlfriend cheated on them, they'll be like, oh, they'll talk about her, but they'll call her every name in the book, but deep down they're hurting about the situation.
About it, and still like texting them and trying to get with.
Right.
They won't add that part though.
No. So they have different emotions, and there's something about me. I don't know what it is, that a lot of people tend to be very comfortable with me and telling me,
opening up
their stories. And I think it's because I come from a place of no judgment. There's non-judgmental space, that I'm really authentically just trying to get to know you and what you have gone through is what has helped mold you as a person. So I like to understand the person themselves as, instead of
like,
showing.
why are you the way you are?
Right. So I don't know. I should have been a psychologist or something because I like how the brain functions, I guess. So I always try to figure that out. But I really do sincerely like to hear people's background. And I got that too when I was working for the bank, that a lot of older people, when they would come in, they would sit down and talk to me. Of course, they didn't have a lot of family around or whatever, so they would come to the bank, sit down, and give me their life stories. Yeah. So I was always so fascinated by it. So I think that's where it came about. And also, too, the fact that when they were telling me these stories, that would create it in my head. Yes.
Like, you would have like that vision of everything like a little, like a movie playing while they're telling you the story type thing. Yeah. So, a lot of people can't do that, right?
No?
A lot. There is a study that there's some people that can't like
envision it?
Yeah, they can't envision things. They just I was like, what? That
they don't envision.
I have like I see like a movie plays. It's like a movie just going like this in my brain.
I do too. Like when you tell me something happened, then I envision it. Sometimes I've been telling you, I don't want to even.
It's like dramatic in my head too. Maybe it's all like
someone talks about something like, don't even give me that image, like, because I always picturing stuff.
Yeah.
But it's the creation, yeah. Just like with like art, when you go to the art gallery and stuff like that, that you look at the different pieces of art, that it's gonna be based off of your own perspective. But my imagination goes wild. So especially with like the colors and all of that, I tend to say, the different stories in my own brain. So, in the office, in our office, how we have the so we have the first office, our office has the women and the stuff like that, my girls. So I like to
like all their little pictures that are incorporated in that picture. Like, okay.
Yeah, so if anyone has ever seen any pictures of me in our office, I have art on the wall and I say they're my girls, but it's a portrait of someone, and then all around it, it's like a bunch of different arts. And I've always found things like that very fascinating, and I just love it. And I think I got it from my mom, where that was her healing space, when she would just be very artistic and expressing herself in that way.
Do you think that was like her escape?
I think so. Like
from things that were going on within her that she didn't
her own brain,
share.
Yeah.
Like, her escape was that creativity.
Like I told you how she did this wallpaper, and it was pretty dope that she just, and I really want to mimic this and do this myself, but she took, back then we had a lot of magazines. So she would collect magazines from everybody, and she cut out so many pictures, and it would be just a silhouette of someone or whatever. And we had, a little a wall in the hallway when we first walked into our apartment. There was like a big crack in the wall, and Chicago landlords, a lot of them back then, they didn't care about the property like that. And he didn't want to fix anything or whatever. So she wanted to make it look more appealing, and she just made her own wallpaper with all of the clippings of that magazine, and it's just art all over, and it was pretty dope, and I always loved it. So like I said, we grew up really poor, so she worked with what she had. So it was pretty dope. So, but going back to relating to Tyler Perry and how many men talk about what they've gone through and stuff. So we're toying around with what we're going to do. And like I said, this episode is going to air at the ending of February. So all our March is going to be men. So we're going to have 4 men that are going to be coming on and speaking about their journey,
their upbringing,
what they're doing in their life. Yeah. So I have pretty, different walks out. Well, you know what? Honestly, it's 2 military and 2 artsy people. Honestly. So it's like that professional and then the creativeness. So I'm excited about that. And so we were talking about it, it's the title here is She Who Thrives. So we're saying that we're doing a he series. So we're like, man, we got to really make up
like a name. Because we were talking about like March Madness is then going to be that theme. So how can we like incorporate men with March and
So we're trying to figure that out. But so of course I think I've talked about this before. I love Chat GPT. So I use it a lot because of course in my business I'm really good at numbers. So Chat GPT helps me, do the storytelling of that numbers into words. So this is my little best friend. So I was just like, all right, I put it in. I was like, let's figure out what the name is gonna be. So these are the suggestions. March manliness.
I think we said that too.
The manliness one?
Yeah. I think we had said that in the office.
Marching beyond, men's resilient odyssey. I was like, no. Marching men, stories of strength and triumph. And then it says March manifest, men's journey to strength and success.
So why don't we do like a poll on the first two?
On the first two?
Yeah. What was the first one? The
manliness one. The March manliness, tales of tenacity and triumph.
The first and then the last, because the other ones I do not like.
And then March manifest. Okay, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna air this. We're gonna put the poll out, and then we're gonna let you guys decide what the title is gonna be for our
March series.
Our March series, yeah. So. But yeah, I wanted to bring on the men so that way they can tell us their journey. And I know them all, and they've all been a part of my life in a little bits and pieces in it. So there's one that I grew up with from back in Chicago. There's one that was my boss. There's another one that is actually my real estate agent. And then the other one's my shooting instructor. And I'm excited with him because he's gone through so many things. So
and he does so many things.
So many things. So I'm excited about all of them because they have, their different backgrounds and stuff. So yeah, so March is going to be about the men. So I did hear you guys. You guys hit me up. Even on TikTok, there was a man literally was like, it was I forgot what story it was. And he just was like, well, we need to have the men's side of the version of certain things because it's not always, the women. I was like, yeah, of course. If you tune in and subscribe, you're going to find this. So I'm excited. We're excited that it's going to be men coming on and we've
been planning it for a while too.
Yeah, we've been planning it for a few months. So
okay, who are we gonna have? When are we gonna do it? When is this?
Yep. So
it's finally coming out.
So it's finally coming out. I'm excited about it. So I am reading all the reviews, even on TikToks. Whoever wants to see or hear a new subject, just let me know. May not be right away, but we toy around and we try to figure it out to bring you what you guys want to see and hear. And but yeah, that's what's going on now. I'm excited for March and what's going to happen in March, and see what these guys are going to bring. But thank you for tuning in to the podcast She Who Thrives. Please go and subscribe, like, review, and share. I am excited because these reviews are going up. So yeah, but please review. But till next time, bye.